the Jamaican supreme magic culture. My beloved people, here is a mystery of all mysteries, something that people have always wondered about. How the Jamaicans do what they do and build characters the way they do. Is it something about genetics? Probably where it began, there could have been a subtle difference between the bloodlines of Africans that were on the island before Christopher Columbus. For many people don't even know that Jamaicans were always in Jamaica. I mean, from a very long time ago when they came from the west coast of Africa, when they were lost and exiled on the island, they were here, and then other Africans brought Columbus here. Columbus came looking for the Indians of the West, and in those days the Indians were even ancestors of the Jamaicans too. They were not white people, they were just another band of black folks. And the Jamaican bloodline, even to say the Ghanaian bloodline too, partly originated from India, which were the original Indians. So when the white folks were coming west, they were actually looking for the Indians in the west that had their power bases in the west. So the character of the Jamaicans that were here were a sort of noble character. But I am not saying that the general Jamaican character that you see today was built because of a bloodline. No, it was, and it is built by a cultivation of a system of polarizing magic, whether deliberately or by accident. I do not know. But I choose this topic because I want to explain some of these things all the time, and I just couldn't see a way until it suddenly hit me. I am Jamaican. I was born, I grew up in Jamaica, and I wake up every morning in awe at what Jamaicans are, and I don't know if the world is actually seeing it. And there's magic. It's a magic culture, because I understand. If I didn't understand how these things work, I wouldn't know. So people are and say, what makes Jamaican this, what makes Jamaican that? Look, it's not about a race or a bloodline, because a Jamaican is the same thing. A Chinese Jamaican is the same thing. Do not believe for 1 minute that you can get around a white Jamaican or a Chinese. It doesn't matter where. Listen, if you live in Europe and you send your child to school in Jamaica for 5 and 6 years, a Jamaican is gonna come back to you, and all of the weaknesses of that child are gonna be polarized. He's gonna have a strong character, a strong will, and one thing he's gonna hate losing, but he's not gonna be a sore loser. And I want you to keep that in mind, because that is going to be a part of what I'm gonna tell you about. So, hello my people, Skywalker here again. We want to reflect this glint of light from the darkness, because it's not just about a people. It's a secret, a polarizing secret that I want to bring out in any way I can. So if you are get anything from my videos, people, I want you to give me the thumbs up, because I can really use them. Share the video with anyone, with friends. Somebody might want, someone might be interested in knowing these things. Subscribe, hit the notification bell. When you subscribe, you keep connected to the movement, and let us bring the movement to the world, because this secret of magic is highly underrated. In terms of, people think that it's not even real. Magic is not even real, but magic is basically just the science that you don't know. There is not magic really doesn't exist per se. But magic does exist. Magic exists as the science least understood. It is the esoteric, the thing that you do not know. So it seems mystical to you, and you respond to it in a superstitious way. So then appears magic, but it's not magic. It's just a science you don't understand. Now, Jamaica was a plundered island when the Europeans came, something that they started thousands of years ago, from even before 300 BCE, when they wanted to be the light bearers for the world and to overthrow the black powers. They have a war that was called the Thousand Years War, but that war is still going because they're still doing the same thing. And they develop all sorts of wisdom of land piracy. They use the same techniques for land piracy, like they come to your place. Some place they genocided the elder folks and gave histories to the younger folks to change the rhetoric how they like, similar to the story about Canaan in the Bible. Like they come to Jamaica now and they become the historians, and they tell you that Jamaicans, that the black folks came on ships as slaves. Some people came on ship and some people came as slaves, because the lady they called Nanny came here from Ghana. So yeah, people came on boats, and people were coming from boats consistently all the time. And that's what you need to know. Before Columbus, especially the Ghanaians kept coming here. They themselves are forgetting their own history. It is the same people, the similar people that lives in Ghana, that were exiled on this island before Columbus. And the culture is here. So people that call themselves Maroons are there were some they called Africans, because they were coming during the time of the white man, and some came on the side of the white man because there were Africans that came on these boats. So the Africans that came on these boats were referred to as Africans, although they were all dissimilar bloodlines. Some of them knew this place because they came trading. So it was always African. It was almost like, you could say, it was almost like a West African colony. So when the white folks came, all these stories about slavery, but broken and stuff like that, when they literally sexually assaulted black men and black women, brought them to all sort of trauma to keep them subject. They were successful in many islands to some degree, but in islands like Jamaica and Haiti, those that they need to destroy, in their minds they have to destroy, like they have to destroy Haiti, there were a different bloodline of people that were not easily broken. So they bore the higher levels of trauma, because you're trying to break it. You're trying to break something, and the thing is pushing back, so you push harder. And that's what happened to countries like Jamaica and Haiti. But in Jamaica, for some reason, the people learn to deal with their trauma by polarizing it. They disempower they disarm. That's the word I'm looking for. They disarm the attacker by taking this thing out of the bite. So, for example, I'm gonna show you something about how we grew up in Jamaica, and I'm gonna explain this system of magic to you, because they are natural. They are ancient magic. It's ancient magic, and you have to understand how to create this culture. You have to build the mind of the people. It's in the divine sciences and the mindset cultivation, how to cultivate a people. You can become the God in the person's character, because God is always, your ancestors are the gods in your character. They are the ones that taught you certain things that you kept as culture, and it becomes a part of you, and their memories in your DNA. So you don't know why you are afraid of heights. But your great grandfather, you didn't know him, but he fell from a tree, and that's why you're afraid of height. It's deep. just like the white man is using DNA memory spell on us, like this thing about the homosexual community wanting their rights, where no one was trying to defile their rights, is actually to traumatize the black race. It's actually a act of charm, a magic, a DNA spell magic, because these are the people. The white folks were so gay, and they were actually sexually assaulting the men even before they were women, and now they are using the DNA memory spell to um, effeminate the males, because the more they can effeminate the male, the more control they will have. So if they can keep Jamaica in an effeminate mode, they will have power. They couldn't do that to Haiti, so they figure, okay, total destruction. Um, the women are easier broken, so this is why they always try to get to Eve, and the women are easily believed. By the time they are in fear, they surrender. It's the difference between the cock and the hen. So they always say get to Eve. So it's the Adam and Eve syndrome that they use, because the women were also raped, and they use that polarizing magic even when they write the stories of the Bible. They put them in it. Thy rod and thy staff may comfort thee, and the woman is in fear, it's in her DNA. It will not affect the white woman that way, but the black woman, remember. And the laws are the canon. When the canon speak, you listen. But the black woman was told that it's either our balls or the canon balls. So when she resisted that assault, she was put to sit on a hot searing cannonball that was in the sun all day, and she sat until she blistered and died because she didn't accept the smaller balls. And cannon has the biggest balls. The cannon is shaped like a penis, as you can see, and the balls are the wheels. So they are using all this polarizing magic, so for the little children to come on to me, all these little things, and the women are the ones in panic that bring their children to the churches because of the DNA magic spell. So it's trauma on top of trauma, and the culture is built by implementing the trauma, and this master, this sir, becomes God. This is the image of the Jesus Christ in the Bible. No. So they use the same religious stories from the time of Egypt. They implement them. They put themselves in it. They rephrased it and put themselves in it as the gods. And then, if you notice that if you are praying, you can't say you. You can't refer to God as you. You have to say thee, do, thine, and stuff like that, because it's the language of the master, and then it is holier. So there are subtle things in this form of magic. There are subtle things that speak to the mind in a subliminal sense, right? So the polarizing magic that the Jamaicans used to resist is very subtle, but it's potent. It's super potent. Now, this child, was growing up, and the people in the community, the other children saw him as an ugly child, and what is ugly in their mind? A ghost. But in Jamaica they call it a duppy. So to say this guy was this other child was the image of a duppy, they say of a duppy photo, which means the image of a ghost. And this child was so this child began to cry, because he was suffering bullying, as you would call it in America, where the child would just run home to mama and say, I'm being bullied, and the whole state would come down on the children that were bullying this child. Now in Jamaica, this guy went to his mother. His mother was compassionate, and then his father came in, and his mother told him what was happening to the child, and he called the child and said, come here. And he brought a mirror and said, look in the mirror. And the child looked inside the mirror. And when he looked inside of the mirror, the man said, whatever you look like, you have to love yourself. But look here now. It is what it is. And that's the magic of the polarization. You begin at that point. It is what it is. The man asked that child, do you look like the image of a ghost? And you know what the child said? The child said yes. And the man said, so you think you're ugly? And you say them call you ugly? Alright, next time they call you ugly, you answer. And by doing that, the attackers were completely disarmed. And by the time that boy, I'm gonna give a joke of it now. In high school you have the 11th grade. No, you start at 7th grade and you end at 5th form, and then you can go to tertiary level, 6 to 12 form. No, 6th form to for 2 years, right? By the time this boy reached 5th form, in the entire school, everywhere he went, everybody was saying, they did, people always shorten your nickname. People went by their enemy. Teachers call students nickname in school in Jamaica. That's their job. They have to, because your nickname has power. Sometimes the nickname has power more than your real name. Or sometimes the nickname polarize the adverse effect of your real name. Just like the DJ named Tiger. He looks like a tiger and he began to act, leap like a tiger. It's like that. So by the time Dopey Photo reached 5th form, everywhere he went around the entire school, people were saying, photo. They got it chart, photo, everywhere. Everywhere. And guess what? Even when he dressed, it's almost like he was dressing to accentuate the dopey look. Everybody, all the girls, everybody. And that is how Jamaicans do. So, if you were fat, then it is what it is. So, you buy a t-shirt and you write on the shirt, fat man. Yeah. You write fat man. That's what you do. That's how they polarize and deal with trauma. So we are playing cricket. We are playing cricket in Jamaica, and this white fellow, he liked to come around. He didn't come from town at the bottom of the village. He came from somewhere in a distance, right? And this story is like something someone actually told me, but one day I was there with them. I think I am not really remembering exactly where it was, but I went there. I don't remember how I went there too. I was about 16 at the time, going to high school. But the white guy, he didn't live down inside the village where the guys were. He came down from a hill in a distance because he liked to play cricket, And one day he was coming down, and some guys were laughing. It was a very hot day. The sun was hot, and one guy told him, get back into your house because the sun, get back in your house, white boy. The sun is gonna make you as red as the devil, And the white guy turned to him and said, move your bum back, lad. Me no come here to talk, me come to play cricket. Look by you. You already burn black like the asphalt, black like charcoal. You soon turn ashes. Come, make we play some bumbuck lad cricket. Now, Think about it. We didn't know. All we knew is that it was what it was. It is what it is. That's all we knew. We didn't know that we were the worst person in the world. That guy did not know that his black friend should beat the crap out of him. And he didn't know that he should set across a blaze in front that black boy's house. They didn't know that they were the worst people in the world until they went to America. And that's the craziest thing, because meanwhile they are talking, they are cooking, because they play cricket, they cook food, they whatever things they can find, they cook a pot and it's lunch, and after the cricket game they all go home. And the other thing too, they didn't go to his house because he was white and white people live in their own house. And they had no problem about it. They didn't have to well, sometimes the whites and the blacks even mix more than the Chinese. I'm getting to the Chinese. The Chinese, sometimes you didn't even see them until you went to their business places. Now this Chinese guy, and he was coming to school with us. And remember, before I get there, you remember that I'm calling, including other races, that we should hate each other, and they are behaving exactly like the black Jamaican. I want you to pay attention to that, because the white guy is no different from the black guy until you get to America. Alright. This Chinese guy again, I remember, I think he was going to a high school nearby me, Cornwall College. Yes. And I remember meeting him on the street, and one guy said to him, "Yo, China boy, look for me, man. Look for me. What do your eye? Because we can't see your eye. Your eye open. I sleep that, man. What do your eye swell?" And the Chinaman said, "You see the same wasp what bite me in my eye? And him bite you by your lip them and give you 10 pound of liver lip." And everybody started to laugh. It is what it is. It is simply because the Chinese is the way the Chinese eyes look, and it is simply because of the way the black person's lips look. So, well, some black people, you see, but it is what it is, and no one saw it. No one knew that it was racist comment. But what is racism? What is racism? Oh, I need to give you an opportunity to walk around inside the mind of a Jamaican, and you will realize what the polarizing effect looks like. Now, when you have a family, you build walls around your home. You choose your family. No one should just walk inside your home. And people make choices according to what they are most passionate about, what they choose, their legacy, their love. So some people prefer to stay with their own race. The problem is not that our white friend separated from us until he felt like playing cricket, because he was a different race. Birds of a feather flock together. The problem would be if he hated us because we were black, or if we hated him because he was white. But we didn't have, there was nothing to put that idea in our minds, because we didn't started learning the wisdom from America and England and places like that. You know, if before I started traveling, if I went to America and I see a shop like a food store and it said no blacks allowed, I would just turn and go somewhere. I would say, I'm not going into another white store, into another white food shop. Jamaicans, I would go look for a Jamaican shop because it seems like the black Americans hardly do stuff like that. They don't have that kind of, well, maybe because I don't even want to go there, but maybe because they are under the banner of the white man. They don't have their own identity as a people. So this is why they don't, you don't have a black man store there, because what is the banner? What is the identity of that black man? But you will have a Jamaican food store because he's a Jamaican under that banner. And if it's a Caribbean thing. So if, for example, you're from St. Lucia. St. Lucia is a small island. So maybe you would be lucky. You wouldn't be lucky to find a St. Lucian food store. But if a St. Lucian is walking by and he sees a Jamaican store, he sees his own store just the same. It's a Caribbean thing. Just like if you're coming from Barbados and you can't get flying fish and cuckoo. You could just go into a Jamaican store and eat a ackee and saltfish, and it's the same thing because we come under a West Indian banner. In America, the problem is that they are isolated. So that is the problem. They are not allowed to be their own identity with their own power. So if I went now to the airport now and a white guy is trying to or the post office, and a white guy is coming to tell me that I don't belong there, then he's gonna have to answer my thunder, because this is where I have my right to be. I don't have to try to claim my right that, okay, I have to be in his store. Even though, not just because something is legal or illegal, make it morally correct. It's not morally correct for me to want to intrude on his space and say the law say you have to serve me that chicken wing. That chicken wing can easily turn to a shitting wing when it comes out from around the back and you say, yeah, see, you have to serve me. And I don't know if I could say that he was wrong. You just have pride in your own. If he wants to say that, I mean, if he doesn't want, you know what, this goes for everyone, even the homosexual community, which is implemented for not a very good reason. I'm not saying that people being homosexuals are bad. I'm trying to say how the system used the difference to polarize. The same thing goes for the homosexual community. You cannot force someone to accept you. So if someone is having a party and he doesn't want the gay person there, then have your own gay party. It's just, as a Jamaican, this is the intrinsic of us. Otherwise, now Jamaicans are being drawn out into the wider schemes of the, I would call it the stupidity of, people cannot choose. Racism is no problem. It's race hate and prejudice is problem, not racism. Do you have a thing called familyism, where you put a wall around your home and no one else can enter? Is it familyism? What do you call it? I don't know. It is what it is. It is what it is. So the trauma that we faced, coming from all those days, were so difficult that it seemed that like there was no solution, and the only way to survive it was to know that it was what it was. So we develop a culture and words often spoken, like, for example, you are working on a Monday and the hammer hit your finger, and someone is going to tell you to look at that on Sunday. No, Sunday is how many days away? You don't have time to look at it. No, do what you have to do, and Sunday you can look at it. Now this build this strength, the character, and you have to be capable. Look, the first time someone asked me if I could use a hammer, I think I was either in Bermuda are in the US. Someone asked me if I no, you don't ask a Jamaican if he can use a hammer. You pass him the hammer and say drive that nail. You don't even ask a Jamaican woman if she can use a hammer. Because if you can't use a hammer, you are less than a pussy. This is the way it is. This is what it is. You don't get to throw a pity party. You don't get to be the weaker one. You have to be strong. And you are and you do not wield your power. You take what you play fool to catch the wise. So for example, the Jamaican comes and he's a great basketballer, but you will not know until he goes on the pitch. You will not know. He will sit there and he will try to figure you out and to hear or to watch or to know your power, and then he will strike. And another thing you should observe, the Jamaicans are so competitive. You know, I'm gonna tell you this, and maybe you can check it out. From even the 80s, I figured that one out. You know that many times the Jamaicans that leave from high school in Jamaica and they were not doing well in the class, it didn't take them time long when they went to America. It didn't take them much long to become lawyers and doctors and all this stuff like that. Or when they went to America, they were in the first batch in their classes because of the competition. That is it. You just have to be the best. You have to be. You cannot. You have to be good enough. You don't have time. You don't have. There is no pity for anyone. For if you go down and you can't rise, no one is gonna like stop and wait. No one. You're supposed to get up. It's tough. It's always tough. It's just tough. That it. No, Jamaican is the place where if you get, I mean, if something wrong with you at the side of the road, people are not gonna just pass you by. So that's not what I'm saying. And the people are always friendly. They look out for you. They'll be good to you. Even if you do, you can approach anybody and talk to them, and they'll be friendly. Like it's just one. It's just one. That's how they connect. Like it's always just one. Everyone is just one. But at the same time, I'm gonna show you another thing. I remember a case where it was Usain Bolt who worked so hard for a championship, and when he won, he rapped on his chest to say, I am the one. And there were some people, this is what we see as a pussy. There were some people saying no, he was they use, I don't even remember the word. I don't even want to remember it because it's a stupid word. They use like if someone is showing his dominance, is basking in that moment of glory. It's nothing. Now in Jamaica, if you win, you're allowed to drag your balls around, whether you're a male and female. Whether you're a male or female, you're allowed to drag your balls around. You're supposed to drag your balls around because you won. And the person who lost should appreciate that, because why didn't he win then? It is what it is. Does it mean that you see that person as inferior? No, you see yourself as the victor. When that person beats you, then he has the right to drag his balls around. And it is what it is. It's polarizing magic. When you have a culture, you build your culture in strength of self, not dependency for others, not dependency. Because no one is gonna stop and wait for you. No one. No one. If you go down and cannot rise, time will not wait by your side. Justice is not a divine life condition, sentimental of this world dimension. You have to put down your feet and take the bitter with the sweet. Rise to the task of a dragon to slay. Be exceeding brave and face that day. For it matters not what you do or say. Tomorrow will come upon us anyway. I'm going to show you another example of what it takes to be a Jamaican. You know, I'm in the US, and I see a white man, and I know how white people can be because they have different beliefs. So it was a white man, and I wasn't even going close to that person. And then I heard him speak, and immediately he transformed into a Jamaican. And by the time he transformed into a Jamaican, I went over and we were chatting because he didn't have a race anymore. You only have a race if you are not Jamaican. Because that is what we learn. We learn that Jamaicans are Jamaicans, but outside of Jamaica, we become racist. So I mean, there are things in this that the world should probably adapt, because some of these things are good, because it probably borders on what we want the future world to look like, while others are bad. There's no problem with racism. People can choose by race. People can choose their race. There's no such thing as homophobia. People can choose their own sexual preferences, worse that it is natural. All right? And there is no problem with homosexuals having their own thing. I tell you that the Chinese, you hardly, well, only now some Chinese are kind of socializing with us, but more than anything, you only see the Chinese when you go to their place of business. We don't even know where they live, and it doesn't even matter. And listen, it doesn't mean that the Chinese don't understand Jamaican. If you think Chinese don't understand Jamaican, you're a fool. No one disarms the maca like the Chinese, because Jamaicans are cracks and they like to make jokes. When the Chinese come up and make you know that they know exactly what you're saying, when the Chinese speak one sentence, it unsettles the Jamaican, because you always see this person and this person is speaking a different language and you don't know. So I mean, Jamaicans don't have problems that the Chinese are not mixing with them. The Chinese are Chinese, they mix with Chinese. I think the problem too with the world is that I don't want to come off like the world at the moment is being headed by a race of people that were mal cultivated in the beginning, and it's in history. So they do not understand a lot about, they know a lot about deceit, but they don't know a lot about perpetual motion. And I think this is not the end of this topic, but I've been talking for almost 40 minutes, so I think I'll just be out for now, and next time I come to continue this or with another topic, it doesn't matter, just continue, follow the movement, and I'll see you later. Peace out.